And we are golden and good to go.
Let's start. Okay, so I'll give everybody like the little heads up that I have a cold, so that's why my voice sounds so sexy today. But what I am really excited about today is introducing all of you guys to Monica's work. This is Monica Martin. You can see her on the big screen right there, and she is
Hi,
a
everybody.
spiritual teacher, a coach, and one of her zones of genius is that she's been teaching so long that she truly understands how people learn and the best way to get people to engage with your content and to get the most out of any courses and offerings that you have. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to ask her some questions, then she's going to teach you guys a couple things, and then she's going to share her amazing program that she's running on creating your own course and how to really, it's focusing a lot on the learning pieces, like how do people learn? How do you beat those odds of, whatever they say, 85% of people not completing the program or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to introduce yourself a little more before we kind of get started?
Yeah. You covered the basics and the nuts and bolts of being a spiritual teacher. I realized when I started writing and working on my bio that I'm kind of really excited and honored that I'm a fourth generation teacher, and not like goes all the way back to my great grandfather and my great grandmother all the way down. And I realized that in my blood that there are lots of special education and special needs teachers in my family. And so it's not just how to teach, but how to teach differently and how to meet other people's needs where they're at. And so where I've come from, I have that in my system, and I became a teacher, as well as I have a master's in holistic psychology, and also degrees in kinesiology and the body. So I really understand the body, the mind, and the spiritual aspects and how they come together. And what I've really realized, my love and my passion, what I really believe in, is that it's not just learning. To me, it's where spirit and the physical world integrate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like we have all these downloads and these inspiration and these moments, and being in the physical body is where we have the chance to really play with it. And how do we learn with it? How do we explore it? How do we experience it in different ways to really understand it from the inside out? So.
Awesome. So embodiment, I'm just going to bring that up because I know that's, one of your core concepts too. And even, it's something that I put my chair a little closer, that I've learned as well, from even, some of the greats out there like Tony Robbins, that you have to embody the concept in order to truly make it yours. Mm-hmm. What's your main, could you give us just one really good tip to start to embody things when we're learning it?
Yeah. The best way that I do is I translate it into how can I create that into something as an action or a ritual or something that I would be doing. And one of the examples that I use with some of my clients that I work with, and clients who are newer, and so they're working on visibility. And so to embody visibility, I have them go walk the streets and just say hi to people and just start a conversation, or go into a store and start talking, or go to karaoke and go sing, because it's the act of becoming visible. It's the act of engaging, and it's acts of really moving forward. And so something like that is it's making it uniquely their own. And so
absolutely
really feel how that works for them.
And it's helping them, move through their fears too, especially, because a lot of times people stay stuck in their head. They try to think concepts, they want to know, that need for certainty is too strong, so they don't take the actions to move forward through things. So I love that you do that with your clients.
Exactly, because then what you're talking about, they will actually feel when the fear comes up. Because one of my things too is I'm a boxer, and that's how I embody all my concepts. Of when I'm more tight and I'm holding myself closer, I know I'm too scared to actually reach out, and I could feel it in my body. And how do I need to breathe differently? How do I need to reshift my body differently to actually open up a little bit more?
Yeah, opening, when you open your chest and when you're breathing more deeply, that's when, and also that's where your power comes from. But when we are afraid, we tend to tense up and move forward like this, or, kind of, hold yourself close. And it's when you are in the physical state, it actually helps the emotional state change too. So it's really cool.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah. They all work in harmony. It's really, really cool.
So you ready to teach us what you're going to teach us today?
Yeah.
All right, let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
All right, I will mute myself during your presentation in case there's any background noise, and then I'll unmute afterwards.
Okay. Cool. So since we were talking about embodiment, what I wanted to start us off with first and foremost is about grounding and how to ground. And some people may have their own exercises and experiences on how to ground. I'm going to take you through a couple that I use to really drop down into my center and core. And before we move into that experience, one thing I want to say why it's so important to come from that place when you're teaching is because you're mirroring and you're reflecting out to your students. And to me, this first and foremost starts with you, as far as before you even start engaging with your students, before you start engaging with your group, but when you start creating content, when you start creating your whole vision of where you want to take them to, it starts from this really calm, centered place. And the more calm and clarity you have, the more calm and clarity your students are going to have when they feel it. And so, so I just invite you just to take a couple breaths and get comfortable where you are. And after I take us through these two techniques, I'm going to invite you to notice a couple things I'm going to play with. And before we get to that part, just bring your attention to your breath. And notice how you feel sitting in your chair, and your feet held by the ground, and just feeling really supported. And with your next breath, I invite you to really root in and connect down into the earth, into the soil, and into the roots beneath you. Nice. And as you inhale, you're going to take your breath in through your feet, up your shins to your knees, and exhale down. Your next breath from the earth, your feet, your knees, up through your thighs to your hips, and back down again. Your next inhale, the earth, feet, knees, hips to your belly, and then back down. Your next breath, the earth, feet, knees, hips, belly, chest, and back down. And your last breath, inhale through the earth, the feet, knees, hips, belly, chest, up and out through your head. And exhale all the way back down again. Just take a moment to notice how you feel. And on your next breath, when you're ready, bring your attention up to the top of your head. And as you exhale, slowly drop down behind your eyes, down through your throat, down through your chest, to your right, below your diaphragm. And take your attention and move it just a little back towards your spine. There. There. And just breathe into this place. And as you stay here, I'm going to experiment a little bit and invite you just to notice. Notice how you take in what I'm sharing with you. So when you're creating a group program, it's important to stay grounded. It's important to come from this place, and you create from this place, and you hold space from this place. And as I'll talk about, and I'll share with you how to hold the container, different exercises you can do to shift in and out of the safe space, the sacred space you're connecting with, and then how to create content from here. And creating content, creating meditations, exercises, everything that's aligned with this place. I'm going to pause. And some of you may have noticed how you've moved up into your head. Just take another deep breath and allow yourself to drop back down into your belly again. Let's experiment one more time. So staying grounded, connecting with your tribe and your students from this place is really important as you teach and as you hold the container for your groups. As you create the safe space, you're connecting from this grounded center. And you're inviting them to join you. And so when you move into teaching the content, all the material, all the concepts are secondary. If you can connect and have presence with just this sweet spot, anything can happen. The content can change. Whatever you teach, whatever you share is secondary to this. So when you're ready, I invite you to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Stretch a little bit. Move. And when you're ready to come back into the group and I'm curious as to what you experienced. If you notice a difference from the first time that I was talking to the second time when we went into the grounded exercise.
I think I gotta unmute everybody so they can talk.
Yes. Unmute, unmute. Cool. So I'm curious if anyone noticed if they took in the information differently. And if so, what did they experience?
I'll start. I mean, for me, I felt like the second time was deeper.
Mm-hmm. And deeper, how did you feel deeper?
I felt like more connected to it. And I also like that you mentioned, you're like, I don't know if I got in my head. I don't think exactly that it went there yet, but even like when you said that, it made me like really even take it like more grounded into my body.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And connecting from that place is that inner sense of knowing as well. And that's why the content is secondary. If you can create and you can share and connect from that place first, like whatever the material is, will come in more with ease, and the content you're going to be creating will come with a lot more ease as well.
Sure. Love it.
Cool. Any other comments or experiences? Tara.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, it was funny when you had said, did you feel it in your heart? And then I had to go and bring it back down to my belly. I was like, wow, how did she know that? Because that's where it was. Like, it was definitely like all in there. And I'm not a grounded person, and I definitely need to be more aware of that, because I started thinking of other things. And then when you said to kind of bring it back, I was like, okay, that was, like Dana said, it's a lot more deeper going into the second time. But it definitely a lot of connection with what you were saying, and I felt it, and I was there, and it was helpful.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Really, really cool. Yeah, one of the skills that I've honed on, and I also teach others as well, is how to track. Because energetically tracking the classroom and holding the container is creating the safe space, and knowing when the fine tunes, because how you're going to take things into your heart space will be a little different, like you felt, than taking it in from your belly, from the grounded place as well. Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Okay.
So we mute ourselves.
Go back in here and mute real quickly. And then the next thing that I wanted to move into, now that you have experienced yourself and how to ground and how to take things in, what I want to explore and play with is actually connecting with others. And how do you hold the space? How do you create the virtual space in the virtual container? I can speak for myself in that before I even get onto a call, before I even get onto the classroom, I actually go into meditation and I visualize the room. I used to be the teacher, so I still have like the high school teacher image in my head. And so I see the blackboards and the bulletin boards, but I open the doors and I see a circle of chairs and desks and even bean bags on the floor in a circle. And before the actual time starts, I see everybody coming into the room. Whether you're listening to it now or on the replay, you're part of this container right here. And then once we start, I close the doors to create safety. And the reason why it's so important to create the safety is because as your students are going to be learning, as they're going to be moving through new things, which is new for them, fears are going to be coming up, insecurities are going to be coming up, the inner critic is going to be rearing its head. And in doing so, the more you can create the safe container that it's okay to explore, it's okay to test themselves, it's okay to really kind of feel around and see what's right for them, the more they're going to actually really, really learn and grow. I had this really beautiful moment with one of the groups that I held, and this really shy and insecure, just really timid woman came up to me after our group was completed, and she thanked me for teaching her self-confidence. And it was just so sweet. And she was such a sweetheart. And I told her that I didn't do anything. I held the space, and she learned to step into more of who she is. She learned to really come into her own and believe in herself and connect and find her own rhythm and find her own natural cadence, which is just beautiful. So if we can explore one more time, and what I invite you to do is to get comfortable one more time. And if you need to readjust, shift around, whatever feels right for you. And take some breaths to really get grounded and connected. Nice. Dropping into that place again. And once you're in, you're connected with your center. I invite you to place a hand on your belly or your heart, whichever feels right. And from that place, staying rooted to yourself. Nice. I'm slowly starting to reach out to connect with me. Just notice how that feels. Such beautiful energy in this group. This is awesome. And when you're ready, I invite you to explore a little bit and actually feel the circle. And feel the connection, the connection of the container. Just notice how that feels. You can even amplify and turn it up a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. And one more experiment I'd like to try out. It's connected into the circle. I'd like to see if you notice a difference. Notice if there's a shift. And what that feels like to you. And then notice if there's a shift again. And from this place, maybe roll your head around. Move your shoulders or your body. When you're ready, come back into the circle. Hmm. Hmm. And I'm going to unmute just to see what you notice and what you experienced in the shifting in the circle.
I guess I'll go first then. So for me, I could feel like somebody came on, I guess it's Karen, and then I actually could feel somebody left. So I could definitely feel all the energy of everyone in the circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can feel the energy of people.
Yeah, it's feeling the sensitivity and exactly feeling the energy moving in and out of the group and the container.
It's a really good exercise though for people to start to use if they're not as sensitive to energy yet.
Exactly. Yeah. And so a lot of the work that I do of helping people become more fine-tuned with it and really sensing it and tracking it, especially when you're holding a group and you're holding a container of how to track other people in the group. And then you can start to feel when they're starting to shift and move out. And you've noticed one of the exercises that I use is the movement, is having people do their own thing and move around and then come back in to the group again. So it's almost like this ebbing and flowing. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Things that they noticed?
When I came into the group, I was late, so I apologize for being late. But when I came in, I heard you say, connect your energy to mine. That's when I came in.
Mm-hmm.
So I closed my eyes, I connected, and all of a sudden I just felt like this huge pink, red blossom of light, and it was just like swirling and swirling and swirling. And then it kind of balanced out because then it just went white. So it was like, I don't know what it was beforehand, but that's what I felt when I came in. It felt like it melded together.
Nice. Yeah, it is. And I love that you brought that forward because especially in the group energy, everyone has their own individual signatures. But one of the things that I love about the group is that it starts to harmonize and it starts to have its own ebb and flow and its own kind of rhythms and cadences that it works together with. And there is like a magic that happens in synergizing with each other. Just this beautiful work, which is cool. Any other comments or feedbacks about what it feels like I'm moving in and out towards? Because one other thing because I pulled myself out. And so in pulling myself out to notice what that feels like when somebody fully, completely moves out, it has the possibility, which I've had with others, of creating confusion because the harmony and the stabilization that's there, the homeostasis kind of gets wobbly in the field. And so especially if you're trying to teach, when somebody moves out and actually almost rejects the circle, is that it causes confusion and trying to learn and trying to take things in becomes secondary to being present. And so some of the tools that I use, one is the movement. Another one that I use is I amplify my energy. And so I become even more grounded and I turn it up so it's even larger. And one of my teachers used to call it be the biggest pendulum in the room because everyone will want to match your vibration and your signature and follow suit with you. And the other thing that I do is I name it and I just really call it out and not specifically pointing a finger to somebody that's out of alignment because you don't want to create any discomfort like that, but just I'm noticing something feels a little off. I'm noticing that the energy feels a little like there's ripples, like however you want to describe the textures, or there's a hole here. And so you become curious about it. And then you start to explore it. I wonder what that's about. And so together, everybody's kind of like almost like sleuthing, like, you can like look into yourself and what's actually happening and start to solidify the field again. So any questions so far? Mm-hmm. Tara.
Hi. No, I don't have a question. I just was gonna piggyback off of what you said. I felt the energy kind of going in and out and like in and out, like when you were, I guess I didn't realize that you were like moving, but it was like a ebb and flow type of a swaying almost feeling with the energy. And then when you initially had said to connect your energy, I didn't visually see anything, but I felt like complete radiation, and my heart chakra area was like beaming, and it just felt like so good, you know. And then it subsided a little bit, but I definitely felt like the waves of the energy going back and forth. It was pretty cool.
Nice. That's awesome. You're a very heart mama. I like that. You're very connected to your heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to mute you all one more time. And now that I've talked about the energetics and the grounding and the feeling that space, this is the part that your brain has been very, very patient and kind, and your mind has been like, where's my role of actually creating content? And how did that all fits in? And one of two things that I really have to share about group programs is Dana was right, is that only 85% of people actually complete and finish all the way through. And I was just reading an article in Forbes that was saying,
I think, right, 15%.
About 15% that actually finish. So 85 don't.
85.
Yeah. And so the reason why is that they're so bombarded with content and with information. And so the brain actually in one sitting can only take in 2 to 3 concepts at a time, and then it stops. And the way I equate this is like if you're at Thanksgiving and there's so much food and you want to eat it all because it looks really good. And so you start to eat it all and you stuff yourself because it's so tasty. And then you get so uncomfortable and you just want it over with. And so you're not enjoying it anymore. And so the same thing happens with content. I'm sure you've reached a point when you're skimming through threads on Facebook or news feeds, when I know I do, like I can't even read another word, like literally. I see these long posts and I don't even want to look at it. And so it's the same thing. Like your system has gotten so saturated, it can't take any more information in. And so number one, when you're creating your content for your course, is simplify, is going back to basics and really what is the concept that you're trying to teach. Like I was talking about visibility, like visibility is the concept. Just start right there and simplify it. Like this is really what you're trying to teach them. Everything else is a secondary tool to support that. If they're journaling about it, it's about visibility. If they're meditating on it, it's about visibility. If they're embodying it, these are all different resources on how to really explore them stepping forward in who they are. It's the same thing from practicing the art of asking. I know we're all entrepreneurs here, and so the whole sales is really learning the art of asking. How can you ask for what you want and you need in a way that's really clear and aligned for you? And so when you simplify, instead of giving step by step process, then the brain's actually, and the person's able to really absorb and take it in. And then the other thing, which is really important, is integration. Is when you're creating a course, whether it be a month long or a 9-week or a 12-week long program, it's really important to pull out material. Weeks, so there's certain weeks, between weeks 3 and 4, weeks 7 and 8, and weeks 10 and 11. And I named those ones specifically because there is a certain rhythm and there is a certain cadence where you may have been part of groups before, then all of a sudden, like there's a lot of people out on the same week. It's because they're done. And so what you can do when you're creating your program, it'll be a godsend for your students, is to not add more content, but do something different. How can you play with the content? And even give them a week off to actually explore and integrate all the pieces in. Because what happens is the courses that are out there, they keep moving forward. And if they keep moving forward and the student misses week 3, they're constantly playing catch up and they're never going to get caught up. And so to really get them to stay with you and love you and be grateful because they actually got a breath of air, is to put those moments in there where they can really process the information that's there. And I keep coming back to, It's on one of the slides that I have. There's this quote that I came across, and I really, really liked the quote. And what it was talking about is content. Content is like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. And I love that quote because it shows how malleable it really is. And it brings back the concept of what kind of experience are we trying to have? What is it that we're really trying to learn and to embody and to make part of our lives and to shift? And I think as a society that we've really forgotten, and that we've made the details and the content and the minutia and the tools more important than the concept underneath it. And as you're working with your clients and you're working with your students and you keep coming back to that place, is what is it that I really want to support them in understanding? Because I'm going to give you so many different tools to find what works for you. And in trying to find what works for you, you're going to find your own way. You're going to find your own voice. And I'm just here to support you in doing that. And so I think that is one of the second really big part about the content. And the one other thing I've been talking about, simplification, remembering what it is you're actually trying to teach them, and diversity so much. I'm going to send out in one of the emails. There's so much in there, and I didn't want to overload you all with too much content and actually model what I'm teaching. And so I created a PDF that actually has everything broken down. And so it has the different models such as like visual and audio and kinesthetic, different ways of learning, as well as examples and how to play with it. So you'll have that resource and as a tool. And so to me, when it comes to embodiment, like we are multi-dimensional beings. And everything we all learn in so many different ways. Some of us like to be engaging with groups. Some of us need to go on a walk and really process it out and to find whatever works for you. And when you're creating support for your clients and who you're working with, of giving them options. Because the more options, for me, I like it because I get to be creative. And I'm like, I wonder how I can turn that into an actual exercise. And so how can I reach them in a different way? But it also opens up their own curiosity. How can I make this my own and fit this for me? Any questions or comments on the content stuff?
I guess I'll. Why not? I'll start.
Yeah.
So you actually recommend giving weeks off during programs?
Yes.
Interesting.
I do.
Like what weeks, or is there any like?
Yeah, so the ones that I was talking about, like, so between week 3 and 4, like, so 4, 8, and 11 are really good ones. I mean, you can create your own rhythm of doing it like once a month. I know some programs do that. And I think it's really important because it gives them their own, even though it's like a break week, they're not, like they're internalizing and they're playing catch up and they're resting. One of the biggest things, and I don't know, for those of that experience, when you're learning a lot, you're sleeping a lot. Like, you should be sleeping a lot because you're actually learning a lot more information. And so even though it seems like you're not doing anything, you're actually subconsciously working on it. And so that's why weeks 4 and then 8 and 11 is kind of towards the end if you're on a 12-week run. But those are the best times. If not, give them a break, then do something really, really light on those weeks. And just something to reflect back on everything that you've done so far. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions or comments about content? Cool. So if there aren't any other questions, what I am really, really excited to share and to talk about is the program that I've created and I'm sharing with everybody. and it is called The Art, the Science, and Energetics of Group Teaching. And I'm actually going to share my screen because it looks a lot prettier. So, and I love Snoopy, so I've got Snoopy there. So it's the Art, Science, and Energetics of Group Teaching. And in this program, it's a 9-week program that I've created. And I really believe in this. And I got really excited because I was working with one of my clients earlier today, and she's been teaching for 25 years. And this style of teaching really shifts like who she is as a practitioner and as a spiritual being with what she's actually trying to teach. And so this has been part of my passion of really teaching an alternative way of being out in the world and teaching with others. And so my program, it's a 9-week hybrid program, which is a combination of group as well as one-on-one support. And the first weeks 1 through 4 dive deeper into what we've been doing. Is about tracking energy, how to ground a little bit more, and to find your own natural cadence in doing so, as well as creating the foundation. And in creating this foundation, it's, okay, what are my objectives? What's my focus? And what is the heart of my program that I really want to support my clients with reaching at the end? And then I like to work backwards. I know that the, what is it called? The mind dump, the brain dump is very popular to do. And to me, I shudder a little bit just because it can get overwhelming. And I know, and I've worked with people who see all these different possibilities and they want to cram it all into their course. And I'm all about simplifying and reducing it down. And so in the first 4 weeks, we'll create what's our objectives that we want to get to and how do we backstep that? What do I want to do with each of the weeks? How can I really support my my students through this? And then once we have that foundation created, then we move into weeks 5 and 7, which is all about creativity. And the creativity is all about content creation and how can we work with creating assignments and creating exercises and creating meditations that's really going to be engaging and really supportive of your students. And the one thing I'm all about, if you can't tell, is experiential. And so during these weeks, not only will you be creating, but I'm also going to have us sharing our content. And so you're going to have other people testing out your materials. Because when I do this myself, when I create something, I think it's really, really clear. And it's when I give it to somebody else and they're going to see the parts that they don't understand. And so the more that you can really share and get feedback and get support, you're going to have such really refined and fine-tuned exercises that's going to support your students. And then the last weeks, 8 and 9, is all about putting it together. And so you're going to actually have an experience of practicing teaching a lesson. So you're going to have your content and you're going to share with the group. And so you're going to learn how it is to engage, how to hold space, and how to really teach and get immediate feedback from the rest of us. And so you're going to find your own style, find your own voice and your own natural rhythm, and you're going to already be practicing it. So when you start to move into your turn to teach a group, you won't be completely cold. So as far as all the nuts and bolts, it's a 9-week hybrid program. There's going to be 9 group sessions, which we meet once a week. And I'm also offering one-on-one mentoring session. You're going to have access to the membership site I'm going to give you as much resources that I can. So you can find your own style, what you like to use, as well as having ideas of what you can create for your own groups. And a lot of experiential, a lot of applied practice. And then the private Facebook group, which I'm creating, is all about how can you get even more support. You have questions, I'm going to be in there daily. You want to practice material, put it into the group, and you're going to get immediate feedback from me and then others in the group. And so the reason why I'm creating this, because I really want it to be engaging, and you can actually have the experience and you can really tease out what works best for you. And then as far as a little more something, I have a couple different bonuses. I'm really, really grateful for the help and the support of, I have Jessica Mullen, who is an intuitive and an empath, and she's going to start off the program by a bonus call of teaching guided meditations specifically on how to work with your inner critic. Because as you create your material and you step into being a teacher, the inner critic is going to have its own voice and definitely going to show up. And I really wanted to have you have that resource and tool as you move through this, so you can constantly go back to working with it as you continue to grow and step out as a teacher. Because I really believe that we are here to teach each other. We're here to support each other. And then Dana, I'm really grateful, is offering to share her masterclass on writing for social media and content. And the one thing that this is awesome for, especially as spiritual, intuitive entrepreneurs, our language tends to be a little bit in the ethers. And to help really ground and make it a little bit more tangible, and not just for social media, but as well as the content you're creating, it's going to help your clients have something to actually grasp onto. And they're going to be really grateful for it. And then I have Cassie, who is amazing at techie. So she's creating all the tech support on how to work with PDFs, how to work with creating your own membership portal and website, and any other pieces through that. She's creating a series of tutorials. And I'm also going to have a bonus call myself of answering any questions on the tech stuff. I do have the tech side of me that I actually enjoy, but yeah. And then the last one that I really thought was important is I'm creating a bonus module on how to create an aligned launching process. There's so many different ways to launch, and there's so many ways to really fill your programs, but I wanted to give you options that are aligned for you. And I've learned the hard way, and I've learned what really fits with my energy and what doesn't. And I know for me, it's really more about quality versus quantity. And I've been so grateful, because the more aligned I am with my vision and who are my ideal clients and people I'm meant to serve, they've been showing up just like beautifully, and setting that intention and matching that with aligned action that really reflects each other is really so supportive, especially as you're moving through something that's big and new. And so just to wrap up, the pricing on the program, which I have right now, is I have two different options. There is the one option of the one mentoring session with me, and so that's $555. And there is a VIP option if you want a little bit more one-on-one support. And so we'll jump on the calls and we'll kind of get down and dirty and process your stuff out for three total additional support calls. And that's $747. And for this group, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I really am, to share this with you guys. And so I'm offering an additional session for each one of those if you sign up by Friday on the 19th. So that would be in total $555 for 2 mentoring sessions, in addition to the group program, the group sessions, and all the membership material, or the VIP, which is the $747 for 4 one-on-one sessions with me, as well as the group material and all the rest of the support. Yeah, I really love this. Like, this is like, when I started creating this, everything, like, it was so magical. Like, this was like spirits, like, this is what needs to happen. And so everything started kind of creating. And I really believe in creating an alternative that's out there, that's nourishing, because there's so many amazing and gifted intuitives and spiritual and more sensitives that doing it the more masculine way of teaching classes does not resonate with their energy. And I'm like, well, okay, I know there is another way, because this is how I teach, and this is how it actually works, and your students will really, really be grateful for it. So putting that out there.
So exciting. Really.
Oh, thank you. if there's any questions or comments about the programs or question about that, the actual program starts on Monday, August 29th. And so I was going to add in here. And I was going to put in the messages, this will come out in one of the emails, but if you wanted to check out a link to the sales page that has a fleshed out what the program's about and all the different modules and how they're broken down, that link will give you all that information. But other than that, if you have any questions or not, I am totally a cartoon lover, so yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions before I stop the recording?
I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and if there aren't any more questions, I can at least stop the recording.